Perfect. It's been really wonderful talking to you and getting a sense of your journey and how you engaged with Good Morning Portugal before and now coming to the meetup as well. So you know where we are on a Wednesday.
Yes, I do.
And you know where we are as a community. So make sure we stay in touch, please.
Well, thank you for your efforts in bringing this community together, because you make it easier, more comfortable, less stressful for all of us.
Oh, thank you.
By facilitating this.
Oh, that's lovely to hear.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Lovely to hear that. Thank you very much indeed. Olá, boa tarde e boa noite, America.
Boa noite.
The Munsons here. This is Portugal calling. Portugal calling. Portugal calling. How are you tonight, Mrs. M?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
Good.
Got this wickedy whack new mic. Sounds good, right?
You do sound excellent in my ears, at least. Perhaps everyone else who's tuned in might let us know.
Yeah.
Good evening to you, wherever you are in either North America or in some other parts of the world, because, of course, we've had people joining us who live in Portugal as well at this ungodly hour.
Yes. It's like, just to be completely transparent, it's 1 a.m. here.
Transparent, as it to be completely crazy. It's 1 a.m. here.
It's 1 a.m. here in Portugal as we're recording this. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Our third show of this kind.
It is,
Hello,
yeah.
America. This is Portugal, and we'll start with a bit of news.
Go on.
Actually, no, I've got something. I want
Come
to
on, tell me,
celebrate the beauty of this country before we go into
Okay.
that. I've got a little video to play from Visit Portugal, which I think you'll love, and I think everybody who's watching will love as well. So I want to share that with you. Then we'll do some news, and then we've got a fantastic Facebook thread, which is Mark Ness's My Experience with Portugal to Date, which was a Facebook post in the Moving to Portugal group, which is a public group on Facebook. I don't know who owns that one, but it's a great thread. And I think he's listed 27 points that we'll do our best to get through. That include NIF numbers, bank accounts, dog poo, and cobblestones. I don't know if black mold is in there, Mrs. M.
Okay, I'll
not.
survive.
So we should...
To be fair, there's no black mold here now. We've blitzed it.
We've
today,
had a good day of black mold cleansing, haven't we, today? The old
We've
BMC.
been up and down on top of chairs, like wiping the black mold off the corners of our ceiling.
And by way of a little break, so I want to show you a lovely video from Visit Portugal, which I think even after 5 years here, we will be thoroughly inspired and invigorated at 1 a.m. to see the beauty of Portugal in this video.
Go on, do it.
A few new. No, hold on, Mrs. M, stop it. Portuguese have an obligation to better understand immigrants, says the president. What foreigner property buyers looking for? That's a strange headline, but I'll read that. Portugal needs to seize the silver economy, as in not to take all the silver.
But that's for the
colonies,
for people who are retiring.
The silver surface, and everyone is talking about Portugal as well. We'll get through as many of those as we can too from our front page. If we don't, you can always go to allthews.goodmorningportugal.com and see the news headlines that I carefully curate for you throughout the week, as well as loads of other stuff on the website that I think you'll like. Yeah, when you're wondering what I'm doing, and I'm just saying, give me just 2 more minutes, and I'll be with you. It's pretty.
I'm like, come on, I want to go to the beach with the kids.
Exactly. Before we get started, so the video, news, and then that fantastic Facebook thread, and I will also punctuate with this glorious property that I want to show you. Do you fancy living there, Mrs. M? Do you see yourself there on that balcony waving me off in the mornings? What? Because I actually don't go anywhere in the morning, do I?
No, that's true. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Being able to say goodbye each morning, with that sort of feeling of expectation about seeing you as you come home. But no, that's not my kind of house. It looks really nice. I like the big veranda that goes all the way around it. It's not quite situated how I'd like it, but it looks really good.
Well, that vineyard at the back belongs to the house. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We'll have a look at that as well.
Do you know what I'm really liking is the fact that each time we go live, we've got new people that I've not seen before.
You've not seen Angel before?
No, I've not seen Angel before. Hello, Angel.
Hello, Angel. Nubian we've seen only a few minutes ago. Right?
Yeah, we saw her about 10 minutes ago. Hello, Nubian.
She's on auntie duty. Are you a strict and stern auntie, or a bit of a a spoiling auntie, while little sis has a night out. Oh, that sounds lovely, Nubia.
How old are the little ones that you're looking
Your
after?
charges, yeah. And the Global Nobles, Greg and Amy are here. Does 1
Hey.
a.m. make it bon dia again? Yeah. No, they-
Yes, actually, it is Bon Dia again,
strictly
isn't
speaking,
it?
but it's Benoit, isn't it? Or still Botard. Ola from Lisbon. So you
Yeah.
guys are still up as well. The Lady of the Seven Skirts. I appreciate it, but I'm concerned for your well-being. Well, let's just see if my bags can get extra bags under them. Jeff's here as well. Fantastic, Jeff. Great to see you. Boa alegria. Boa alegria a todos. And hi from Russian River, California.
Wow,
From
that sounds
John
nice.
Luca. Good evening
Hello,
to you, John.
John.
Lovely to have you here as well. Okay, so let's I've got a treat for you now.
Go
The
on.
video from Visit Portugal. You're gonna love this. Okay, sit back, enjoy. I've got a nice Bohemia Bock beer. You've got a gin and tonic, haven't you, Mrs.
Sure
M?
do.
And we will now watch. I don't know what Ruti is, but it's sponsored by or comes via Ruti and is a video from Visit Portugal. Oh, Mrs. M, how beautiful was that?
Whew, I'm tingling all over. I really am. I love the soundscape, and then all
Music
the
was
sort
good,
of
wasn't
the perspective was really amazing.
Yeah.
Like when the floor just kind of went away, you know, and you're kind of going through like over the tops of the valleys, and you know the green tops of the trees and everything. Oh, it's so gorgeous.
Fantastic, yeah.
And we're going to be driving through central Portugal tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
And you know, we're going to get a little bit of that feeling. I'm very excited. That was so nice.
It's been too long, hasn't it?
Yeah, it
I
really
mean, we
has.
love where we live, and we've become a little bit insular in some ways, haven't we? But it's because
Yeah.
we've got a lot of what we love, and we're quite busy, and we enjoy our lives here. But there's so much more of Portugal.
I
to
really do miss having a
explore.
really good view. I mean, obviously we've got a great view. Like when we go to the beach, we can see for miles, you know. And when we drive along the beach, you know, the coast road, it's amazing. But I love the sense of grandeur that Portugal has with all the hills and the valleys.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes. Okay. Let's look at those news stories then.
go on then.
We have, if you see on the right of the screen there, the Portugal headlines. Let me go to the first of them. Or which do you want to look at first? Do you want to look at everyone's talking about Portugal? Portugal needs to seize the silver economy, or what foreign property buyers are looking for?
I want to go for the foreign property buyers,
I
only
think-
because like when you read that, you said, oh, that doesn't kind of read well.
I think that's my fault actually, but I will bring that onto the screen for you now. So let's begin with you. What are you looking for when you're buying a house? When we get around to buying a house here?
Oh, well, we haven't really seen it yet.
Yeah.
So I really don't
Elusive.
know.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, what I would love is what we kind of had when we were living in Ashburton in Devon, which is this feeling of privacy, in a lovely house with a gorgeous garden, but then being able to walk to lots of great amenities and also having a good view. So
Like that.
I'm not into, that's a nice view, but
Where is that though? Is that Lisbon?
I don't know.
I don't know where that is. That's just,
It's pretty busy.
it is an unusual view there. What are foreign property buyers looking for then? This in the the Portugal news.
Yeah.
The national residential market remains in the sights, especially of Brazilians and North Americans, revealed data from Idealista. The interest in purchasing and renting property in Portugal from foreign buyers continues to be strong, according to data from Idealista. The average weight of international demand for the 20 Portuguese district capitals stood at around 27%, both at the end of 2019 and the end of 2022. And in the rental market, there was an even greater demand, international market in December 2022, 32% than before the pandemic at 24%, with Brazil being the main market responsible for this dynamic. In Faro, Viana do Castelo and Bragança, 1 in 3 people looking to buy a home is of foreign origin. That's interesting, isn't it? They're in the north.
Yeah.
Two cities in the north there. At the other end of the scale, Beja, Évora, and Coimbra are the cities in the country that seem to attract less foreigners to buy a house, according to the data from Idealista. And we know what that means.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like Coimbra is amazing. We love Coimbra. And we've heard lots of people really raving about Évora.
Yes, indeed. But it would appear that locals are buying there. Maybe parents buying homes for their student children in Coimbra. Where are the foreign buyers coming from then? According to this article, houses for sale in the 20 Portuguese district capitals are in the sights of citizens from different countries. The most attractive are the Brazilian, North American and French markets. In Lisbon, foreigners represented 21% of the total demand for houses to buy in December 2022. Here the demand is mainly felt by North Americans, Brazilians and Spaniards. In Porto, 1 in 5 people looking for a house to buy was of foreign origin. I would have ranked it higher than that. In the city, those looking most for homes are citizens from Brazil, the USA and Spain. In Faro, down in the south, international demand represents 36% of the total, up 2.5% than before the pandemic. And in the Algarve, those looking most for more houses to buy are Germans, British and North Americans. So there you go. In the rental market as well, the stats are there. So click through to that. There's no comments to read yet on the Portugal
You
news,
do like those comments, don't you?
If you want to find out about rentals, just click through from the website Good Morning Portugal. Next story then to take a look at. I think I'm going to go for everyone is talking about Portugal. I think this is another estate agency led piece here that I'm going to put on the screen, and we have Berkshire Hathaway, I think, behind us. Yeah, Portugal is firmly on the radar in America, and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Portugal property. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Is harnessing this interest to its full potential, as you'd expect. Michael Vincent, CEO of leading real estate agency Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Portugal Property.
It sounds like the acronym.
SPP.
Yeah, the acronym does sound like a government department, doesn't it? HHSPP.
It does. It doesn't sound very sexy.
No.
But Berkshire Hathaway, a famous agency around the world, I think, told the Portugal News that he originally started Portugal-curious 15 years ago. During the credit crunch, I managed to secure the domain Portugal-curious. Yes, I bet that's worth a fortune now.
Yeah, but it
which is effectively the leading domain in the business. And from where I understood that if we built a very good website and a very good team with a strong brand behind it, I could see us being successful. And that was the case.
What a lucky fella.
Highlighting the incredible growth of Portugal property in just the first year. Michael explained, I sold 12 houses, then 56 houses, then 165, then 200 and something.
Wow.
And then we hit peak at something like 400 sales in a year.
My goodness, it's more than one a day, isn't it?
Yep. We continue to sell year after year, and we have now surpassed over €1 billion worth of sales. Wowzers. In 2020, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services approached Portugal property in order to give them exclusivity of Portugal. Smart move for this fella, right?
Yeah.
Berkshire Hathaway Home Services is a very large business in the US with 50,000 agents. We agreed on becoming Berkshire Hathaway Homes. That thing. So Warren Buffett is effectively my business partner, of course, which is quite a statement. And together we continue to sell it ultimately. We sell ultimately mid to high real estate to people across the world. Wow. Adding that, in the last year, we have certainly found that more Americans are heading over here. In 2022, 35% of our buyers came from the US. Wow. And I don't, see, we've talked about this before, but a tiny number
Yeah.
of migrants, but with money to spend here in
Yes.
Portugal. Most excitingly, the company has started the Road to Portugal show. What? Which covers the whole of the US. The show includes a series of seminars and personal consultations where they are joined by expert speakers from the world of Portuguese real estate law, tax advice, and currency exchange. We've been selected for a couple of these things, haven't we?
Yeah,
These
yeah,
are
we
all the
have.
rage at the moment.
Yeah, they are.
But when I clicked on that, it went through to something else, I'm sure.
Really?
This Road to Portugal show. Yeah, I think it goes through to, the roadtoportugal.com, which is a really nice little website, but it doesn't look like a show to me or an online event. Does it to you?
No, I
No.
thought actually when it said roadtoportugal.com show, I thought it might have been something on YouTube.
Exactly. Or I thought it'd be an online conference of some sort. It's nice enough, by the way. The Road to Portugal covers a journey of relocating from the US to Europe from concept to completion for one American couple, written by Lisa Graziano, wine and spirits professional. That's a good job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wine and spirits professional, writer, retired realtor, and harpist. Does that go with being a wine and spirits professional?
I don't
She's
know.
half pissed most of the time.
I do know a harpist actually.
You know a harpist?
Yeah, I do actually know a harpist.
Okay.
And not so much on the wine and spirits,
Right.
but a definite party girl.
Really? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
when you're going to, what are you going to drink when you get there? Portuguese wine and spirits, of course, a whole new frontier of amazing food awaits. Portugal is the ultimate wino and foodie adventure. Wino means something different in the UK, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Someone who sits in a park.
It's interesting. I wouldn't have said that, being in Portugal is like a foodie experience. I'd say it's like
Part
eating
of it,
with,
isn't it?
I'd say it's I don't know. It's like a comfortable and rewarding experience. It's not necessarily a big old experience of discovery, is it? We haven't really discovered new food as such, have we? Interesting that it would be described like that. But...
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's again. You can click through to that on our front page. One more then before we get into this wonderful Facebook thread. Thanks to Mark Ness. I shall stop sharing that one. I'll put the link to it actually so that you can see that for yourself, the roadtoportugal.com. Angel, thank you for saying you prefer the dream team to what you're seeing there.
Yeah, but that was very kind.
There is suddenly an influx of these, or an upsurge in these online events. We've been invited to, and we'll be speaking at 2 of them in time to come. So Portugal needs to. Actually, I'm going to go with it. Portuguese have an obligation
actually,
to
before
immigrants.
we do that, can I just comment on something?
Of course you can.
We've got a comment from somebody in the chat room, a country vegan. Hi all, coming over to explore this summer and hoping to get moved over the 1st of 24.
You trying to read that? Because I just changed the screen. So sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
But where are we?
Who's that? Where are they?
Just below. So we were both interviewed for one of these big old sort of like move to Portugal shows, and I was asked about the food and what was it like for vegans, vegetarians, etc., and I was about to answer, and then I was given another question, and I was thinking, crikey, if anyone
You're
watches
so not
me,
over that.
I was really upset after. Well, not upset, but I felt like I'd let down anyone that was a vegan, because I'd only, right at the start of answering it, I said, well, it's a little bit difficult if you're a vegan, but actually there are lots of different things you can do. So my advice, if you need any advice in terms of being a vegan in Portugal, is that there are lots of vegan restaurants in all the cities and in quite a few of the large towns. They have really great fruit and vegetables here, really, haven't they?
No, yeah, definitely.
And they sell them in the market most days, and it's really quite wonderful. But when you do go to a restaurant, you do need to watch out for things like them slipping in a little bit of
sausage in the caldo verde.
Chopped sausage in the traditional cabbage and potato soup. But I think you'll be okay, country vegan.
And I invariably, if you say you're vegetarian or vegan, staff, chefs, restaurant, cafe owners are very helpful.
Yes.
Rather than being funny about it, which has happened in my experience of being a vegan and a vegetarian. I think the staff and the owners of cafes and restaurants are very not tolerant but helpful. helpful.
And responsive, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
You know, they want you to have a nice time.
Yes,
So.
definitely. Celine H is in, and I hear that a lot of Americans are perceived to be the foreign buyers that are inflating prices for Portuguese home purchase and rents, but the ongoing stats don't support that bias. No, I hear that. I feel that, John, as well. That would appear to be the case. I don't know what to do about that, really. OMG, I showed him the images. I told him it's Portugal. He said, "Oh, where Ronaldo lives." Oops. He'd rather move to Argentina, where Messi is from. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay. And yeah, Angel prefers to listen to the Dream Team. We'll be back on Thursday, not Tuesday. It's moving to Thursdays. Angel, I hope you heard that when we spoke the other day. Loved your talk the other day on gut bacteria. Was that last week? Did we talk about that last Saturday? I think
Yes,
we did, didn't we?
yeah.
Get healthy before you start all the stress of moving.
Absolutely, yeah.
You never know, do you, what's going to be popular? And there it is, gut bacteria.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious when we started talking about that, but it's really,
yeah, you thought it was a terrible
really been very
thing.
meaningful for people. Bob,
It
what are you
has.
doing up at this time? It's crazy.
Should be loving your woman.
Maybe he is. Maybe he is.
Whilst listening to us.
And Viv is saying, will you put that damn thing down?
Yes.
Okay, let's have a look at what the president's been saying after an unfortunate incident in the south of the country. But Portuguese have an obligation to better understand immigrants, he says. The president of the republic has defended that Portuguese have an obligation to better understand what immigrants feel when they arrive in the country, since Portugal is traditionally a country of emigrants.
Yeah.
Now, this is a really good starting point, isn't it? That recognition of the Portuguese going all over the rest of the world. We have an obligation to understand better because other European countries have no tradition of emigration. How is it that we don't understand what others feel here? Asked Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, the president, of course, in a class with secondary school students in Olhão, days after the attack on a Nepalese immigrant by a group of young people in the city. The case is being investigated by the PSP. That's one of the 3 police forces which has already identified some of those responsible. Asked by journalists what led him to promote this initiative shortly after this episode of violence, the president of the republic replied, "It is precisely when it occurs, and that is why I was so quick, that these issues must be addressed." Good man, right?
Yeah.
I like the cut of his jib, generally speaking, because if it's 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months from now, really, a reality becomes trivial.
Yeah.
And by trivializing, what cannot be considered normal becomes what comes to be considered normal.
Yeah.
Very good. Rejecting the idea that Portugal is a xenophobic country, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa warned, however, of the need for societies to remain vigilant so that fear and defensive attitudes towards immigration do not lead to xenophobic behavior. What do you think, Mrs. N?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice. I mean, I think all migrants should also be aware that they are in another country too.
Yep.
I think it works both ways.
Yes, indeed. As the thread, as the
but that's
comment
sweet.
thread reflects as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Yeah.
The aging of European societies has created what I call fear, a reactive defensive attitude, and therefore a rejection of difference. And from there, xenophobia is a small step, and one has to be attentive to that small step because it means less democracy and even less respect for what our experience as a country of immigrants is. He underlined, so good man, great stuff. He was at the Escola Secundaria de Francisco Fernandes Lopes in Olhão, and I think he went to see the fellow who got attacked as well, who must have felt very held and honoured by that as well. So good on you, President, and good to see him like dealing with it so quickly as well.
I mean, I just think we're living in times where it's important just to really not focus on where people are from, whether they're from here or there or anywhere really, but just to be nice.
Absolutely,
be nice,
and to talk,
be neighbourly,
right?
like everybody is your brother or sister.
Yes.
Just be really neighbourly.
Yeah. And to be able to talk. This is with all the awkwardness. I mean, I know it's difficult sometimes, isn't it? To if it's an awkward, highly charged situation, but I still think the best thing to do is to do what the president's done, and to bring it out into the open and have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
So addressing xenophobia is essential to the health and prosperity of the Portuguese. Well said, John. And I admire our president, says John there. Yes, I'm looking for the Tavira area and hope to find a T1 to rent with a decent kitchen and hopefully a garden area.
Yeah.
Sounds
Very
good,
nice.
doesn't it, Tavira?
Yeah.
With all that lovely fresh food down there, country vegan. Okay, let us get into this Facebook thread then, and I will cut and paste these themes that Mark Ness has been so, his word assiduously, Mrs. M.
Yeah.
My experience with Portugal to date, writes Mark Ness. And let me cut and paste this to the chat. And then if you want to read it for yourself whilst we're reading it here, you can do that. That's going into the chat now. And he begins over here. My experience with Portugal. I wanted to offer a write-up for those people. Mrs. M, can you read this so I can have a really good cough?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to offer a write-up for those people who have not yet moved or are considering moving to Portugal. This is the type of post. With my experiences and my background with the country. I don't want folks to think I'm criticizing them or their choices. I think many groups do not do an adequate job of preparing people for some of the drawbacks of Portugal, though I've seen some people lately try to offer a more balanced account of their experience. In July 2022, I spent 2 weeks with my girlfriend traveling the country with main stops to Lisbon, Porto, Portimão for several days each, and short stops in Óbidos, Sintra, the Douro River Valley area, and a small mountain villages inland with a car. Just this month, I spent more time in Lisbon, Évora, and 11 days in Madeira. Without elaborating too deeply, I have a more nuanced understanding and background in real estate markets than your average person. I'm also a seasoned traveller in Europe, so this account has some of that in mind. Slovenia is my favourite to date. I was initially considering Portugal for a D7. After my experience, oh crikey, I'm no longer considering a D7 because I don't feel Portugal would be a good solution for me long term. I want to be clear that although some of these will sound ethnocentric relative to the US, I definitely feel like Europe is the place for me, just not Portugal, in no particular order between positives and negatives. Here goes.
And this is interesting, isn't it? Because this tracks our early Pollyanna days, doesn't it? To having a look here at an account of somebody who's decided not to come to Portugal, but it says many positive things about Portugal, which you might find interesting here.
What I really like actually is that this is somebody who has actually moved around and made an educated decision. I mean, we come across people who decide they're going to move, and then they buy a house online or they rent something long-term online, and then they come over to discover that they're really not, it's really not the place for them. So I admire him actually for spending that time and getting very clear.
And he's leaning towards Slovenia as a favourite to date. This is number one.
I honestly did not see dog poop on the streets like people describe. In 35 days, maybe 3 times. This was nice.
It's amazing, isn't it? He was on a full alert.
Yeah.
From what people had been saying about.
I mean, in some areas we've seen dog poop, haven't we?
It happens.
But it does happen. Yeah, it does happen.
Yes.
I mean, I'm trying to think when we've seen it the most.
Where there are lots of dogs.
Yeah, so not so much in the cities. Stop it.
Okay, let's move on from dog poop then.
I mean, to be really honest, in the winter, there's so much, we get quite a lot of rain. And so any dog poop is washed away really quickly. And then in the summer, any dog poop that, hits the floor gets dehydrated really, really quickly. So
it's not the problem it is in the UK. For
yeah,
example.
I mean, in the UK, dog poop could be there for quite a while.
You see, it's the funny thing about dog poop. It's always, you think, I don't think we're going to want to talk about this. And then you end up talking about it loads.
Yeah. Okay. Go on then.
Portugal generally has exceptionally friendly people. I had an overall positive experience with almost everyone I met. That's good, isn't it? And he still doesn't want to move it. But I mean, that is a lovely thing to say and true, I think, in the experience of most people here, right?
I think, I mean, most people I've met have been really, really wonderful. The ones who've been a little bit terrifying are the ones in some of the sort of
metropolis.
No, I would say the
in the outback.
No,
come on. What?
when you go to get sort of official stuff done.
Oh, okay, yeah, the bureaucrats.
Yeah, the bureaucrats. They look really kind of fed up, and I guess
they are.
I would be too.
But it's
processing things.
It's a job for life, isn't it? And I don't think it's an especially pleasant job.
No, and I think they must get really tired and overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like I entered the room at the perfect time. Good night, friends. Hello. How are you this evening, Saudade Life? Number 3, then, it has a great overall climate. And Madeira, it's a very different climate in Madeira. Just check out the Good Morning Portugal weather pages on our
Yeah.
website. But it's different over there, and really very pleasant and comfortable in Madeira, generally speaking. A really enjoyable climate. That's my preferred spot, and Lisbon would be for the social aspects. That's quite a commute, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think. First rule, chipping in here, Celine H. The first basic rule for an expat looking to move to any country: go there, move around, meet the locals, and that's what this
Yeah.
guy's done. He's done the
Yeah.
he's done the dog poo hopscotch and met with loads of locals as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about beaches next then. We're not particularly beach people. We've ended up in a beach town, haven't we?
Yeah.
And we do love Portugal's beach
I
life.
do like Portugal's beaches.
What's this one, Mrs. M?
I don't know because you haven't put it on the screen.
Here you go.
Beaches are nice and the infrastructure around them are well made, but I'm a mountain guy and beaches do nothing for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
All right.
yeah. I mean, I will say, the beaches are, I think, really clean. Obviously we've come from the UK, and I can't vouch for what the UK beaches are like these days, but they are pretty clean here. When I've gone,
Yes.
they've been great actually.
Yeah.
And often they're really, really empty.
There's so many of them. For
Yes,
such
I
a
mean
small
there are
population.
so many beaches, and we tend to go out Monday to Friday as opposed to the weekend. We try to avoid when everyone is using things, which is great because small children, it's much easier. And we can just go and walk onto a beach and often have the beach to ourselves. It's really quite amazing.
Here's a damning
Oh dear.
review of the food. Hello, Ubi. Great to have you here with us.
Yeah.
And food, I very much did not like most of it.
Yikes.
Did not like it, most of it. I don't get that. I don't know what you were expecting, but this is not the first attack on the food we've heard this week, is it?
I mean, if you're coming from a country whereby a lot of effort is put into the way food looks, and to exciting new flavors, and it's all kind of slightly
And the
gimmicky,
cosmetics, yeah.
then you may well be a bit underwhelmed, because the food is very much like, from my perspective, it's very much like the food my Flemish grandmother used to cook. Slightly boiled vegetables with lots of butter and olive oil, and I quite like it.
I think it's grandma food.
Yeah,
It's not a bad way of putting it, and I love that. I really love that. I give me that consistently over pretentious food.
I would say it's really
anytime.
honest food.
Yes, exactly.
Really honest
Yes,
food.
there you go. Real estate, exceptionally overpriced. This is number 6 from Mark. Exceptionally overpriced, and you can understand why with this thread here on Facebook. I think how many he's had 310 comments, 7 shares,
Yikes.
and it's been reacted to by 292 people.
Wow.
So it's very fascinating to me. But exceptionally overpriced, he says, on real estate, with really bad experiences with realtors. Buyer beware. Okay, is Mark's recommendation.
Well, I've spoken to lots of people who have had some quite dodgy real estate experiences. Where there are strange covenants that never get revealed before the actual sale goes through.
You do have to be careful.
Yeah,
no
you do
question.
have to be careful.
Yeah.
And obviously, whether it's done deliberately or not, or whether it's just like lost in translation, who really knows? I mean, we do speak to some great people. So obviously you speak to
Veronica, for
Veronica in the
Carl
Algarve,
Hyde.
Carl Hyde, and then you've got your man in the Minho.
Yeah, Antonio, Vito.
Yeah.
You do have to.
And now you've also got the channel sponsor as well, which is Bobby O'Reilly,
of course,
from your home.
Absolutely.
So there are some really great people out there who are aware of these kinds of issues, and we would always recommend that you do go with a bona fide real estate
word
person.
Word of mouth, not the person you meet down a cafe.
No, definitely
Because as
not.
we discovered, that can go a little bit wrong.
Yes,
you get a lot of yeses before you get a no.
Yes.
And by the time you get a no, it's too late.
Yeah.
That's what happened, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Saudade Life loves the beaches. They're lovely, and the food and bar options at the beaches are great. That's true, isn't it? That's a reflection of the friendliness and relaxed way of life here. The cafes are unpretentious, like the food, and you can get great value, and people let you drink and eat around the bar and not get too fussy about everything and stay as long as you want.
Yeah.
It's really easy going, and there's a lot. I think there's so much to be said for that. Water is a little cold, yes, the Atlantic, but everything else is thumbs up.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and come to the bay, and you will be in slightly warmer water in the shallower waters of the scalloped bay of San Martino de Porto. Okay, looking ahead, there's talk about Sef and also Obidos. I think Obidos is well thought of in this survey by Mark Ness from Facebook of 27 points, and we'll get through as many of them as we can because they're fascinating.
Yeah, they are.
Energy utility costs are higher if
Um,
you heat or cool your home like you do in the USA.
Yeah. How many of you wear wool sweaters indoors to not blow up your heating bills? Yeah, no thanks. Not judging, just not for me. You know what? We've been wearing sweaters, hoodies, all sorts of things. And, our kids don't really feel the cold, do they? So they're perfect for the winter.
Yeah.
But Carl has been wearing his puffer jacket indoors. And it's not like you do see Portuguese people, they wear their coats indoors in the winter quite a bit as well.
It's
To save some money on the heating because it is expensive.
It's the 2 or 3 months of national denial. That's
Yeah.
what winter is here. The houses, the culture is not made for winter, and we just get through it. And if you want to walk around semi-naked in a warm home, it's going to be expensive. Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you can walk around semi-naked in your home for 9 months of the year.
Exactly.
Really, really
and
easily.
I do.
And so I think it's if you're renting, you can't really sort of install heating and things like that. Then it's really a problem. But when you buy your house, that's when you get to choose how you heat it, and there are different ways of doing it. And one of the things I've noticed is lots of Portuguese people have these really big showy homes, and all of that space is great in the summer.
Yes.
But when it's the winter, they all tend to kind of live out of one room. So it's worth, if you do have a really big house, it's worth having almost like an adjacent bedroom, bathroom, really close to a little kitchen. So you can just close down half of your house and just live and heat in one part.
Or one room.
Yeah.
I think sometimes.
Yes.
We've done that, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And it's fun as well. It just feels like an adventure from our perspective.
And it's different.
But Mark says in his thing, not judging, it's just not for me.
Yeah.
And fair play.
I like how he's approached this.
Yeah, I do.
Food-related answer from Celine H. You can eat exceptional food here at Michelin restaurants, Michelin, or more high-end ones, but don't expect that on a €25 meal.
Yeah.
Portugal is cheap, but not that cheap. I mean, it is still great value. And number 8 was that the cities are hilly, which I really enjoyed. He did say he was a mountain guy, didn't he? So
yes.
That's what he likes. Our Mark Ness.
Now, I would say in terms of the cities are hilly, which he really enjoyed, that's great. If you've got children and you're using a pushchair or a buggy, it's impossible.
Or infirm in some way. It's not.
Yeah,
ideal,
it's really, really difficult because they have these cobblestones, which I think he's going to come to later on. And if it rains, it's impossible to get a buggy up one of these hills. So I would say if you do have small children, or you do need buggies, or if you need a wheelchair or something like that, and you're going to Lisbon, then you go and stay in one of the flatter ends of town like Belém, which is really, really flat.
Good tip.
And very easy to get around.
Good tip,
and then you can get Ubers from there.
Very good. I like the cafe culture, continues Mark, just sitting there and enjoying a coffee and a pastry. If you're local, you can literally spend 80 cents on an espresso bica and not get kicked out. I mean, that says something about where he's from, right?
Yeah.
He's astounded by the value and that you don't get kicked out. That's cool. Some pastries were well made despite my overall reservations with the food.
I think the pastries are very well made.
He may not be a pastry guy.
I mean, we did meet an American. Where was that young guy from who stayed with us?
He was from the Arizona desert as a student, wasn't he?
That's right. Because he did go and take advantage of a cafe's internet one day, and he spent all day in this cafe.
They turned it off in the end, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
You've got to keep buying those 80 cents coffees, haven't you?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
and it's really not a hardship to do that.
Quite.
But I mean, to be fair, he did say if he was in America, he'd have been moved on really, really quickly.
Yeah. Driving, it was a very interesting experience for him living here, wasn't it? Driving is easy and mostly intuitive. I had no issues with anything on the driving. That's something some people really struggle with.
Yeah.
But good to hear that no problem for Mark there. 11, Lisbon nightlife is out of this world. People are generally well dressed, kind, and courteous.
Sadly, we've not done that, have we? So we can't comment
What
on
is he
that at all.
talking about? What does nightlife
Yeah,
mean?
we have no idea what that is.
This is how nightlife, isn't it?
Yeah.
As it turns out, doing podcasts late into the evening. Okay, number 12 then, as far as a view from an American, and this is just my biased opinion, owning it, Portugal definitely seems like a good place for older retirees, digital nomads, and some families due to safety and healthcare systems. Lisbon would be the only location I'd consider if nightlife was important to me. That's fair, isn't it?
Mhm.
I think he's a young guy who likes a bit of mountaineering, I think, and high-end food, I'm guessing, right? Is my suspicion with Mark here. Let's go to number 13. Will it be lucky for Portugal? Let's have a look. It's still a poor country, 13. And up to 2014, when foreign investment started being rolled in hard, the GDP only increased by 0.3% a year. That's low. The poor elements of the country show a lot. Wages are exceptionally low and rent is comparatively high. That's not a criticism. It is what it is. Those with capital have benefited from the government's invitation of foreigners, and those without capital have been hurt. That's a fair assessment, isn't it?
That's a very fair assessment.
Yes, for sure. Sorry about my voice this evening and my
That's
coughing.
okay. I want to apologise for my nose.
What's happened with your nose?
I didn't realise that just
red?
drinking gin make it really red, because all of a sudden my hooter looks
Mother's
really,
ruin.
really red.
Mother's ruin is showing
like
on your
like
nose.
I'm really
tonight.
drunk or something, and I'm not at all.
No, there's still time, Mrs. M. Okay, 14, healthcare system seems to be good again for older retirees. Great compared to USA costs, of course, and that's a biggie.
That's a huge one.
15, I found the country to be cheap relative to other EU nations as a tourist. Perhaps living there is more expensive than USA, as some locals pointed out. More expensive than America? I don't get that. I've heard this.
Hang on, I found the country to be cheap relative to other EU nations as a tourist. Perhaps living there is more expensive than the USA, as some locals pointed out. I don't understand that exactly.
Well, no, I have heard this just recently. People saying, and someone asked this on a webinar last week, is it actually more expensive ultimately to live in Portugal? I don't think so. I really don't think so.
But I mean, I haven't lived in the US, so I really can't comment.
And
yes.
The
US is massive.
Yes, yes.
I'm guessing that's all relative.
Okay. Yeah, Michael's here. Good evening. Thanks again for bringing us along on date night.
You're very welcome, Michael.
Third wheel, Michael. 16. Obidoshi was awesome. Visit it. Walk the wall. Sintra was okay. You're going to need to go anywhere because some list told you to go. So just get it off your checklist anyway. We haven't been yet, have we? We tried to go to Sintra one day and we didn't really get to see the tourist spots. We went to Praia da Massa. Praia da Massa instead, which was beautiful,
yes, it
just
was
outside Sintra. Need good photos of Pena? Just get them off Google. Dimer doesn't, and likely better than what you'll take with the thousands of tourists.
This guy's a good writer. I like him.
He is. He's got
a
glint. You can tell there's a glint in his eye, I think, here.
He's enjoying writing this.
We're up to number 17 of 27. We're going to have a break to have a look at some property as well. I don't think we're going to get to the end of this.
I think we are.
You do. Okay. 17. Portuguese is incredibly difficult language to learn, much more so than Spanish. Guilty as charged. I did think I needed to learn European Portuguese, but the reality is they understand Brazilian just fine. So don't focus so much on that. They still know you're a foreigner, so it doesn't really matter.
That's actually a really good tip. You know what? I actually find it easier to understand Brazilian Portuguese than I do European Portuguese.
Yeah.
There's something about the accent that just seems a little bit easier to understand.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
We had a nice little conversation, didn't we, with a Portuguese lady and a Brazilian lady yesterday.
Most of the apps that you get online are Brazilian Portuguese, and so actually that's a really good point that he shared, because there was a lot of apps that I didn't want to download because they were Brazilian Portuguese. But you're right, like people will always know that you're foreign, no matter how well your pronunciation is. They'll know that you're not Portuguese.
Yeah.
And they do understand Brazilians perfectly.
Yep. Hi guys, look at you, Michael Bliss. Telling you, Miss Em, you're looking lovely. Great topic. I think Portugal is different than the comforts we might be used to, but once you get used to the great things Portugal has to offer, it's amazing. Cheaper in most every way. Medical, food, groceries, wine, etc. is such a great but different way of life. Very good. Global Noble, city, coastal community rents, real estate may be comparable depending on where you live in the US,
Yeah.
but the day-to-day expenses are much, much less. Well,
So that's
said.
great. We've just had sort of
Yeah.
confirmation from 2 people or 2 sets of
Yeah.
people from, the US.
This is how we roll here. It's a
Yeah, I
community
mean, it's
effort.
good,
Thank you
isn't
for your input. And Bob's definitely
Yeah, Bob
agreeing
and Viv
there.
are agreeing as well. So that's
Mm.
like 3 couples.
And newbie, to get what some of us are accustomed to will cost more in Portugal. I found this to be true when I was considering Ghana. That's interesting. You've got examples there, newbie net.
I can give some examples of things that are more expensive over here than they are in the UK. So, for instance, if you are a massive honey fiend and you like honey, it's so much more expensive here. However, you are getting a much better product.
Yes.
And I would absolutely urge you not to get honey from the supermarket, but actually to go to the local markets or maybe
Padaria.
yeah, small
Yes.
padarias where they sell the honey of people from town, and you'll get really great honey. Other things that I think are more expensive over here than in the UK. Obviously, I haven't been in the UK for 5.5 years, but essential oils I think are much more expensive here. So and also some nutrients and things like that are more expensive from my perspective.
Yeah.
I found everything else to be either comparable or slightly cheaper.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. M. People will be wondering, why is Carl showing a...
Cars are more expensive here.
They are, and spectacles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Carl, why are you showing this house? I'm so glad you asked. This is a lovely property I was invited to have a look at the other day, because people from time to time say to me, as well as, can you find me a house? Can you find me somewhere to rent? Will you sell my house for me?
Yeah.
And I love it. I love going to see these houses. And this is remarkable. And thank goodness you're here, Michael, because this is perfect for you. This is
This would
your
be
house.
great for the grand piano.
This is your house. There's one of the bathrooms. And they're a bit random, but look at that. There's
Wow.
the Bliss's bathroom, right, with his and hers. They've even got a sash on the toilet. That looks like a hotel, doesn't it? I wonder, do you think they relay the sash every time they go to the toilet there? That's another one of the toilets. Look at this.
Like those wooden shutters
Yeah.
internally. They're nice.
They're in all the rooms, I think.
Wow.
Here. Look at this. Isn't that lovely? It is like being in a hotel. It really is. And I think there are 5 bedrooms on the
Love those
first floor of this. Yeah.
Tell you what, though,
So
they'll
generous,
knacker
right?
your phone if you drop it. So
Oh, yes.
make sure you get a protector for your mobile, for your cell the moment you move out here.
I can see you and me there with that view.
Yes,
and those
I can as
opening
well.
doors out to the countryside there. Yeah, like I said, I think there's 5 bedrooms on the top floor. One of the remarkable things about this home is the lovely drawing room, beautiful, a big kitchen and a smaller kitchen, utility room, all that sort of stuff. There's the vineyard up the back there, and there's the overhead view. In the bottom left-hand corner, there is now a swimming pool, which I think you'll see in just a moment, but it is a vineyard going up the hill there. And here's the...
wow, it's a really lovely space, isn't it?
Isn't it so light and bright and airy?
I mean, one of the things I've noticed about Portuguese homes is they can be a little bit on the dark side because, they try to have something out the front so that you don't get the glaring sunshine in.
Yep.
That's really lovely and light and airy.
This is in the basement.
Really beautiful.
This is a must-have for us, Mrs. M. Look, they've got a gym. So they've ticked that box. But look at this. This is the central atrium. As you come in through the front door, this it's all built around this central staircase, like that.
Yeah,
I can see Michael standing at the top of those stairs, welcoming people in, or having a ball, and announcing people, the Right Honourable Mr. and Mrs. There's a long.
It's
view.
Very grand.
It's fantastic. Now you see that the bottom floor there is actually the basement. This is the rear aspect, and the basement has been converted into, I think, 4 studio apartments. So this is ideal for a very big family, a retreat center, a cult HQ. It's a remarkable property. It really is. It's very unusual. Look, it's got its own like a adega. You can have a little bar downstairs as well.
Yeah,
and there's an aerial view. Just a little bit more, but it's magnificent. And there's the visualization of the pool, which I think is going in pretty much as we speak. And there is from the front again. Isn't that nice?
Very nice.
I think it's an amazing property, and it's near Rio Maior. So you can get to Lisbon in about an hour from this property as your main kitchen. I love it. I love this place. And I think it's a perfect entertaining. Look, that's what you see as you come in through the front door. And you can go down into the basement there. Love it. Absolutely love it. There's some, I think that's Versace furniture. I think the gentleman said that's one of the lounges.
Seriously?
Yes, I'd never seen Versace furniture before, but that's very grand. You don't want your dog on there, do you? Unless it's a
Just don't
Chihuahua.
want our dogs in the house anyway.
Okay, sorry. And there you go. Final picture of the house.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Okay. Both of our families could live in that place. Yes.
Yes.
We could go halves on that one, couldn't we? When I lived in Germany many years ago, I found those trying to live like Americans were spending much more than me. Yes, that's part of it, isn't it? Like the natives do. Live like the natives do, and it's usually less expensive.
Yes, that's a really good point, because when we first moved here, we realized they had a Lidl and they also had an Aldi supermarkets, which we were familiar with in the UK.
Yep.
And so we went into these supermarkets so we could almost buy the same food because it's what we knew. And yes, it was really quite expensive. You know, we were expecting to be much cheaper. But over time, we learnt to get the sort of Portuguese equivalents. And we started to cook more like Portuguese people. And all of a sudden, the prices, they just went down.
Yeah.
It's much easier.
Question for you.
Average price of honey.
$5.50 for 500 grams, isn't it?
Well, we buy those kilograms, don't we?
Is it a kilo for $5.50?
No, we get a kilo for, like, those big jars we get, I think are about 10 or 11 euros.
Right.
They can be as little as 8 or 9 euros or 10 to 11.
Right.
I've seen them, you know, like inland, I've seen them for 8 or 9 euros for a kilo.
Yeah.
And 10 or 11, you know, on the beach.
Yeah. So Dad Life likes the view.
It's really good honey.
It is
really
lovely honey. And local honey is very beneficial. I think it helps you kind of homeopathically, doesn't it? And with allergies and so on.
Yes, I do the same, Angel.
Honey in smoothies instead of sugar. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go back to Mark Ness's.
Oh yes, I forgot about that.
He's talking about how Seth is really slow. It's bad, really bad.
Yes, okay, that's true.
I think
you don't even need to post that.
Well, for the sake of completion, I think I do, don't I?
Okay.
If someone's watching this later on, hello to you if you're catching this later on. We can catch us every morning, every weekday morning between 8:30 and 10 on the Good Morning Portugal show. And we do this, Hello America, This is Portugal show on a Sunday morning at 1 o'clock. And, which is much better time for Americans to watch us, of course. This is number 19. Life is slower in Portugal and even slower on Madeira. Huge positive, but this can be found in many European countries outside of Germany and France, or rural places everywhere. Is he saying life is a bit faster in Germany and France?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, not other parts, not all of France, right? France is a massive country, and some of it is very slow and rural.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of the administrative stuff is just as slow in France, from my experience.
Yes,
when I lived
well
there.
said, well said. Road noise, cobblestones and cars really got to me, especially in Evra. Normally, I would tune these things out, but it was a huge negative, actually. Is that the tyre noise on the roads? Has that been a problem for you? Have you ever noticed that? No. But sidewalks were a pleasure to walk, especially with the lack of dog poo as he experienced, especially those with the black and white tile designs, the azulejos. No, not the azulejos, the calçadas, of course. And Lisbon tile on homes was beautiful. That's more like the
one thing I would say about maybe not road noise, but noise outside your house at night. If you're in rural Portugal, you're almost guaranteed to have dog noise. Because most people have dogs here, and
he comes to that.
Okay.
He covers that. He covers that. Views in many parts of the country were spectacular, breathtaking. The wine was generally good, cheap. Sangria good, cheap.
Yeah.
Is the comment on the wine there. I don't enjoy being offered bread. This is the next one.
Oh, gosh.
We had a fantastic meal yesterday in Caldas, which we would heartily recommend. It was Dulce Diabo, wasn't it? The
Something
devil's
like
sweets. And we started with some bread and olives, which were very good. I don't enjoy being offered bread, olive oil and olives without ordering them and being charged. I don't want to tell someone I don't want something I didn't order, but that's what I needed to do. He sounds a bit peed off about that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. That hasn't happened to us in every restaurant, but I remember when it became high season in San Martino de Porto, and it happened to us for the first time.
It was horrible.
That I was aware of.
Yeah.
And it was kind of really pushy and it was off-putting.
Yes.
But it hasn't put me off being in Portugal.
No, this is a whopper here, hiding us nearly Mrs. M. I'm not so confident anymore that it's all that easy to make friends there compared to the USA, where politics can become a barrier, and everywhere you go, you have to have a car. Compared to, okay, I think like many things in life, you have to put significant effort to make connections with genuine people who have space for you in their lives. I know to some this will sound obvious, but it didn't to me. And I thought once I learned the language, I'd meet a few more folks than I do in the States. But what do you say after that? But several foreign locals. Okay, let me just put the rest of this comment in. Cut and paste. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Several foreign locals told me it's not so. They have had a hard time getting past casual situations with locals. That's fine. Just putting out there for anyone thinking they are jumping into an easier social situation. I think
I would agree with
there
that.
is some truth to
Yeah,
that.
there is
Isn't
some
there?
truth in
You have
that.
to work for it a bit to really be taken in by Portuguese folks into the family home and into family life.
And also, like you were saying, as you were reversing the car back into our drive yesterday,
Into someone's car.
No, you were saying happy to be a foreigner forever or something like that. What was your phrase?
I've got used to that, foreigner forever.
Foreigner forever.
That is a new realization for me.
Mm.
I will be happy to be a foreigner forever, but I think that's true of foreigners all over the world.
You know what? I mean, I lived in France for 5 years, and I could speak it a damn sight better than I can speak Portuguese.
Yes.
And, you know, I was living on my own. You know, I wasn't with Carl and the kids then. So I had a lot more time to make friends. And it doesn't matter how many close friendships you form, you're always going to be an outsider.
Yeah.
And it's really important to know that. And actually, in different parts of the UK, I mean, we've both lived in the UK in lots of different places, and you are an outsider there as well. You know, if you're not from that area, and you've got a different accent, people always know. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I think coming to terms with the fact that we live in a world where, you know, I think it's kind of natural to be a little bit suspicious of new people that come into your world. I do think that's quite normal. And I think we've been shamed out of it. You know, it's a natural human instinct, I think, to be a little wary of new things in your surroundings. But because we all live so close together and we're expected to go to school together, we're expected to work together, use public transport together, you know, our animal instincts, you know, which would ordinarily say, hey, I need a bit more space, they're not respected. And, you know, there's this kind of idea that if you aren't like, you know, radically open and that you're somehow a really bad person. I think there's a lot of shame around that. But I think the truth is, you know, we are actually, you know, instinctual beings, and we do need a bit of space, and we do need a bit of time to adjust.
Well, that's good then, isn't it? Because
I think
in Portugal, the home is considered sacred and private.
Yeah. Like
so that would work both ways, wouldn't it?
In the 5.5 years we've been here, we've been invited into 2 or 3 Portuguese people's homes.
Yeah.
Not many.
Yes.
And it's different for us. Like, we invite everybody over. And I was saying to Carl, you know, we've been in this address for 18 months, and we sit outside and we see what's going on in, you know, in our neighborhood. And I was sort of remarking to him that I've not seen anyone have friends go over to their houses. Very few people.
Yeah.
And our neighbors must notice that we have people over all the time. So.
And a lot of expats coming over, I
suppose. But there is a different culture for sure.
Funny thing is, so many of the people we know are foreigners from other countries, aren't they? So it's like a sort of UN gathering.
Yeah.
So we don't think of ourselves as particularly insular. But yeah, I think this is something to do with the history of the country. I think the Portuguese home is a private place.
Yeah.
And you have to you don't have to work hard to get to be invited. It just takes time. I don't know how long Mark was here, but anyway, he goes on to say. Getting a NIF and bank account number can be a hassle, but can be done.
Yeah.
You do not need a lawyer charging you thousands of dollars. They will save you time.
They will not save you time.
Oh, they will not save you time. Use it, and they can do though. Use NIF online or whatever for the NIF, and use a similar service for a bank account. I got my bank account for free remotely. Lawyers charging anything more than $1,000 for a NIF and bank account are predators, and even $1,000 is too much, in my opinion. That's fair enough.
Yeah, but then that said, I would say, you know, if you want someone else to do it and you've got $1,000 dollars
Some
to
people
spend,
really
and you're happy
do.
to do it, that's
Some
fine
people
too.
do. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. They will put in 2 to 4 hours of work and all of that by their assistants, I promise. But guess what? You're often viewed as foreigners with easy money. So this is just the beginning of that process. Then come finders fees for rent and the home situation that I referenced earlier. So he's obviously had some sort of, slightly more tricky experiences that are being reflected here, but they are valid points. Absolutely right.
I mean, like when you look at his earlier comment about the fact that Portuguese people earn a ridiculously small amount in comparison to other cultures, you can't blame them really for creating these services and working for companies whereby they're providing really expensive services to people that are genuinely happy to pay that amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed.
It swings
And
and
some people really
roundabouts.
want it taken care of.
Yeah. I mean, if I was seriously loaded, I'd be very happy to pay just for somebody to take care of everything for me so I didn't have to bother.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I've skipped one, and I think it's because I'm saving the best one till last, which I think is quite funny. I want to thank a lot of amazing and kind people on these forums. You've really made a difference, maybe unknowingly. I'm also happy with everyone that I found that found Portugal to be a great place themselves. For me, with sadness, not today. Again, I just want to reiterate that this is my accounting, and my girlfriend shares the same thoughts.
Well, that's great that he's in the right relationship.
As you can tell, I have a less flowery and a bit more of an analytical or even Russian approach, which I suspect, I'm guessing he's Russian rather than talking about a Russian approach. Sorry, it is what it is. If you get offended, maybe just consider it as you loving your country more than I did, and that's okay. I think it's fair enough, isn't it? No problem, Mark.
I'm not offended.
I think this is really interesting.
I think it's really good material.
And you've owned it. He's owned it.
Yeah,
Hasn't
he has.
He's owned what his challenges were, which for other people won't be challenges. So I think this is very interesting and very useful. Mark Ness, thank you. We just experienced an issue in perspective verbiage. Says Bob, radiators in every room look great. However, we went through 800 litres, 1,200 euros of fuel in 3 months. The heating system has a design flaw. That's not good, is it? You're paying the price for that then, aren't you? Where's the other bit of your comment here?
It's down there.
But since the owners worked and were only here morning and evening, they don't believe there is a problem. Also, being responsible for maintenance in the rental agreement wasn't defined clearly. So that's one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
And 7 skirted lady, I think you had a comment to share with us as well. Let's go to Saudade Life. I think I'd prefer being offered olives and cheese over feeling rushed to pay and leave so they can turn the table over like we often feel in the US. That does not happen here, does it? Well said, Saudade Life, with that. And what's up with all the train strikes? Well, I don't know, Scott, but good evening to you. I hopefully they will be behind us soon. But again, this is another one of these things that's going on all over the world at the moment, isn't it? With people going on strike, certainly in the UK. Teachers and train drivers are on strike here in Portugal from time to time. And you don't always know. That's the problem, isn't it? Great nuances in the first few years. It may be frustrating as an adult, but Portuguese has learnable rules. The Foreign Office says it's a level 1. Easiest for English speakers. Interesting. And I'm trying to find the first part of your comment, which I'm struggling to do here. Lady of the... Oh, yeah, I saw a post in a Portugal group. I wish people would ease up on saying Portuguese is difficult to learn. It's a matter of investment of time and effort. You won't be talking with... And I already read out the second part, but we get the gist of that. Yeah, great nuances in the first few years. I just said trajes manches to that lady, didn't I? And she said, "Oh, you speak Portuguese."
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
I was so pleased with that. But it was difficult after that. When the home invite came up, Portuguese people said, "Home is just home," and they want to go out to socialize. I'm not sure if they think it's sacred. It sounds like they think it's boring.
Yeah, I mean, in their culture, from what I've learned, is they much prefer to meet people out and about.
Yes, I think you're right, and the culture is built for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Michael.
Whereas, like in our culture, we love to entertain at home, don't we?
It's true. The Englishman's home is his castle.
Yeah.
And he spends a lot of time there. That's the thing. The Portuguese like to live outdoors and in other cafes and restaurants.
Our neighbours are rarely home.
Quite. Yes. Here in Porto, we have found a great social calendar with the expats crowd, but we also have met many Portuguese that have taken us in. Yeah. And maybe the younger Portuguese are more likely to do that.
I think some are quite curious about international people, aren't they?
Right. Definitely. There is a community here that is so different than what we had in the US. It's great. Michael, that's fantastic.
Do you know what I've just noticed about our neighbours? Like we often, like obviously we're going back and forth, to the supermarket quite a lot. It's the 5 of us and 2 dogs. I don't recall seeing our neighbours running backwards and forwards from their cars with tons of shopping. Yeah, I just wonder if they eat out a
Most of
lot
the time.
more
Yeah,
than
possibly.
we
That's
realise.
interesting. Or just buy on demand.
Yeah, I mean,
rather than one big shop.
have you seen our
No,
neighbours?
I haven't. You're right.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Now people are intrigued about our neighbours. We'll tell you more next
Well,
week.
we do live next
we'll
door
do
to
a
the
report.
president of our town.
Yeah, not the president of the country. I've lived outside the country. I was born for more than half of my life. Oh, yeah, you lived outside of the country. From your original country for more than half your life. Now moving to another country, can never really go home. I'll never fit in completely. I love it that way.
Yeah, we do too.
That's us, isn't it? For sure. And I think more and more people are going to find themselves in that condition, aren't they? Yeah, amazing.
You said there was one more bit that you were saving the best.
I
till
sure
last.
did. Mrs. M, please do the honours, if you will.
The toilet paper is bad compared to the USA. Really bad. And
what is the toilet roll like?
I have no idea, but I'm
America?
hoping all of the people that are from the US will chip in and let us know what they think. Really bad. But after some time, your booty gets used to this badness. Use bidets. And even when places don't have them, use your ingenuity.
I'm afraid using your ingenuity is not going to work,
mean?
is it? I don't know. I really don't know. That's odd, isn't it?
I would agree that the serviettes, like that you get in cafes,
they're made of wax.
Yeah, they're like
they don't absorb.
It's almost like tracing paper, and they don't really absorb much. So I would agree that the cafe paper is pretty bad.
Yes.
But we don't really have any issues with toilet paper. I wonder what it's like in the US. Can somebody tell us, please?
I don't know. He sounds like he's been pranked or something in an Airbnb.
Yeah.
But it sounds like in a few different.
Sounds like he's having the sort of toilet paper we used to have in our schools in the 1980s, which was tracing paper. Yes. I remember taking some of that and actually using it at home for tracing.
Or was it just your dad trying to save money? Okay. Number 26. That was of 27. Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate it.
That was a really good list. I really like that. I can tell you put a lot of thought into it.
Yes, the US does have softer toilet paper, cushioned, lots of layers. So just use double then.
Yeah, just fold it over. Maybe that's what he meant by ingenuity.
Just buy a better grade of toilet paper if it's cheap. It feels cheap. You can buy the quilted.
You can
stuff, can't you? That's
you can get triple ply, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. Here is a Sir Lion H's dinner from a recent time. What's he got there, Mrs. M? You got a nice Douro red, that's for sure, with feijoada.
It looks like a feijoada, but I've not known a feijoada with a slice of lemon on.
No, that's just a little bit of garnish.
Tell us, what is that?
Yes,
it looks tasty.
I found similar options at a higher cost in Portugal. It's the big. We started with dog poo and we finished
with toilet paper.
From Washington DC, yes, toilet paper in Portugal is horrible.
Oh my goodness! So you must have really different expectations.
You pampered people of America. Honestly, what you like? Oh, that's amazing. Okay, happy birthday to Andy Gilchrist. We've just been sent a lovely picture of him enjoying himself out in Lisbon.
Oh, happy birthday.
Well, Lee McGrady was calling me earlier on. I think the drunken men were trying to call me and wind me up before the show. But have a great evening, gentlemen. Soft and durable toilet paper. USA toilets here can't handle it.
Yes, now that is something, I don't know what it's like in the US, but like in the UK, it's fine to flush your toilet paper. But here, there's often signs in cafes saying,
funny habit. Oh no.
It says put toilet paper in the bins.
Yes.
They really can't handle it.
We're going to go now, Mrs. M. Great job. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Rio Mayor, for that beautiful home that you have there that we were able to show as well. What does this mean, Mrs. M?
Well, I already know because you told me.
Poach you, girl. That hurts, doesn't it?
It's really good.
Okay. We haven't done one of those tonight. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I hope that's been useful to you. Jess says, what does really bad mean? I personally avoid the super soft stuff. It's less efficient. We're finding out so much about people.
Yes, we really are.
That we really didn't know that we were finally going to know tonight. So thank you so much. We will see you on Monday morning when we're talking with James Holly, of course, of Mindful Migration. And Also, Anne from Belgium is joining us.
Is she?
She is running if I go to the Days in the Bay, let's have a quick look at her workshop that she's going to provide here in San Martino de Porto, alongside you, Mrs. M. You're part of the faculty, of course, that is offering different experiences here in San Martino de Porto. With a beautiful view, the beautiful food and wine and the vibe. There you are. Oh, where am I? There's your make sense of your journey with astrology. Maria Joel Silva, Carrie Prescott. We've got Nancy, John, and Bob and Viv, all offering
Fun and filthy poetry. I love that.
You do. Do you want to do that one?
It sounds like a great.
We could probably
sounds really good.
We could mix that up with Bob and Viv's workshop, could we? Fun and filthy relationships.
Yes, that sounds great.
John, we've got Jim as well, Jim White,
Yes.
Basic Elements of Our Personalities and Walk Your Story. These are all half-day and full-day events. We're talking to Anna on Monday. You have a home, the sun is shining, and you are grateful for your new life, but still feel like something is missing. Hi, I'm Anne or Anna for the Portuguese. I arrived in this beautiful country only 5 months ago. But in that short time, I've learned to speak and understand the language and even made Portuguese friends. Here you go, lady of the seven skirts. It's not that difficult, is it? If you know how, and she will show you how. I did it all without taking a single language lesson, not because I have some sort of magic potion or extraordinary talent, but because as a language specialist, I know the ins and outs of learning a new language. I want to share everything I know with you and help you break through the language barrier, just like I did. Mrs. M, could you take it away?
Learning the language without having to go back to school. Yes, it can be done. And putting your skills into practice in the real world with us. Number two, you've moved it out of my way, getting an inside look into the unique culture and way of life of the Portuguese people. Number three, making new friends, both expats and Portuguese. 4, indulging in delicious Portuguese cuisine and learning to cook it. And 5, discovering Portuguese music. No, not fado. Do you know what? I used to listen to French music a lot and French radio stations when I was living over there. And I when we got the internet, I used to translate the lyrics of songs and things, and that was a really great way to learn a language.
Yes, of course. We don't do that enough, do we? Although I was playing you that Portuguese guy, calling you my amorzinho. That was a really cool tune. What was he called? I can't remember now, but it was, yes, I think listening to music is a great way of learning. All of this while having fun and admiring the stunning surroundings of San Martino de Porto, make meaningful connections with like-minded expats and locals, and become an insider to the rich culture of this beautiful country. So should we talk about that?
Anne is really good with her languages. She's really quite wonderful.
Her invitation is don't just exist, experience life to the fullest.
I think that's great.
And she'll be talking to us about that.
Do you know, I think I might be having an allergic reaction.
To gin?
Yes.
Seriously, how unfortunate.
Look, my lips have gone really dark. My nose is all feels really
strange.
Blocked up. I feel like I can't breathe. I have no idea.
The fever for you might have given you a fever.
I don't know, but I need to get some water in me.
I've got to go, guys. I've got to take care of Mrs. M now. What I'm going to do is play you the Your Home Sustainable Home video.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
We started with beautiful views of Portugal. Let's zoom in over at Sejal, where Bobby O'Reilly is getting some amazing sustainable houses built on the south side of the water in Lisbon. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Bonite says, Jess, my life is a nomadic journey and every pasture is my home, especially in Portugal. Good night. Thank you, Ubi. Good night to you both. Nice staying up with you guys. Next time in person. Yes. Pastry and coffee here in the US, $14, including a tip. You could go out every day of the week for that money, couldn't you? You could get a coffee and a pastry for $2, I think. If you, it's like a pingados deal anyway. Good night, y'all. Says Sodad Life and sweet dreams, everybody. Great show tonight. Bon night, everyone. Thank you so much. And yes, go and hit that like button, Bob.
Thank you.
He made that joke earlier on. I'm sure he won't mind. Bon night. So that video then from your home with these amazing houses, this development. We'll talk to Bobby about this again, I think, sometime soon. Have a sleep well. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, and we'll see you on Monday. Thank you, Mrs. M.
Lots and lots of love to you all.